Hello guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In this video, we're going to be talking about Diels-Alder. So what is the Diels-Alder reaction? It is when a diene reacts with a dienophile to make a 6-membered ring with one pi bond. So a cyclohexene. Specifically, our diene is always going to have 4 carbons. So we could label them 1, 2, 3, 4. And our dienophile will always have 2 carbons. And I'm going to label them 5 and 6. So since I labeled my carbons, a part of the diene and dienophile, in an anti-clockwise fashion, every single time I draw my final product, which is going to be my 6-membered ring, where there's 1 pi bond in between 2 carbons, I can also label it in an anti-clockwise fashion. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And all you got to do is now figure out the stereochemistry of each substituent if that carbon has a group, for example, like a chlorine. Then I need to figure out, is that chlorine going to be on a dash or a wedge? In this case, it would actually end up being on a dash. But I will tell you why very, very soon. All you got to do is continue to watch this video. Now let's discuss the type of substituent groups that we want on the diene versus the dienophile. On our diene, we want electron donating groups. I will explain why in a second. But diene, we want electron donating group. Whereas on our dienophile, we want electron withdrawing groups. Now the question is why? Well, if we draw a resonance structure looking at the diene and we ask, does this substituent group donate electron density towards the diene or does it take electron density away from the diene? Where the diene, once again, is the 4-carbon system, 1, 2, 3, 4, where there's going to be a pi bond in between carbons 1 and 2, a sigma bond in between carbons 2 and 3, and another pi bond in between carbons 3 and 4. So if I drew a resonance structure, I would see that, oh my god, this group donates electron density towards the diene. 2 in, 2 over, 2 up. Well, since this group, the substituent group, the methoxy, donates electron density towards the system, where the system is the diene, the 4 carbons, that means it makes the diene more electron rich. And what do electron rich things like? Well, they like electron poor things, or things that are less electron rich than themselves, right? Because like charges repel and opposites attract. So how do we make the dienophile a little bit less electron rich? Well, we have to add on an electron withdrawing group, some group that withdraws electrons from this dienophile, making it more attackable. So the diene can attack the dienophile. And we can prove that this group is electron withdrawing with a resonance structure. If this is our dienophile, we could draw 2 in, 2 up. Seeing that this group, the carbonyl group, takes electron density away from the system. Therefore, it makes the dienophile more electron poor. And electron-rich things love electron-poor things. Therefore, this reaction is very favorable, and we can make our 6-membered ring. So now, question is, what orientation do we need the diene and dienophile to have in order for them to react in the exo or the endo? You're like, whoa, 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 whoa. What do those terms even mean? Let's go over it. All right, with respect to the exo approach, the withdrawing group, or some group with, let's identify the main thing here, pi bonds. We have a carbon-oxygen pi bond. Therefore, this group, if it is pointed away from some imaginary person standing right in between the diene and the dienophile, we're going to call this reaction exo. But if this group, some group with pi bonds, or even lone pairs like a halogen, is pointed towards the person, this imaginary person standing in between the diene and the dienophile, the reaction is endo. That's literally it. Here the group points away, so the reaction is exo. Here the group points in, so the reaction is endo. And now the exo versus the endo approach will determine the overall stereochemistry of the final product. And if you're still not seeing this, draw in that other substituent group. So the person here, if it held out its hand and the hydrogen held out its imaginary hand, they could hold hands, right? So this group, the hydrogen is on the inside. What if this carbon held out its hand? Well, it cannot reach the hand of the person in the middle. Therefore, it is on the outside. Looking at the other group via the endo, if this carbon held out its hand, oh look, it could hold hands with the person standing in between the diene and the dienophile. Therefore, this group is on the inside. All right, so now let's draw the products. Let's determine the final product with all stereochemistry for both the exo and the endo approach for this specific reaction. For both the exo and the endo approach for this specific reaction. All right, let's go over how to determine both the exo and the endo products. Step 1 of every single Diels-Alder reaction. I want you to highlight the carbons a part of the diene and the carbons a part of the dienophile, because these are the carbons that make that 6-membered ring. Everything else is going to be a substituent group, and we need to put it on either a dash or a wedge. And I will show you a method to do that. So with respect to the exo, draw a little person standing in between the diene and the dienophile. And draw in all groups on the carbons that have non-hydrogen substituents. So for example, this carbon has 2 hydrogens. Therefore, we don't really care about it, because in the end, it's not going to be chiral, because to be chiral, we need a group that is going to be non-hydrogen. So we can have 4 different groups. This carbon will have 2 of the same group in the end, therefore it will not be chiral. So let's erase those hydrogens for now, but keep the hydrogens on the carbons with non-hydrogen groups. So next, what I want you to do is label the carbons on your diene 1 to 4, and the carbons on your dienophile 5 and 6. And I hope you see that I labeled all the carbons anti-clockwise, starting at carbon number 1 at the top of the diene, going all the way down and around, labeling all the carbons 1 to 6, which are going to be the carbons that make the 6-membered ring in the end. So whatever group is on carbon number 1 right now will be on carbon number 1 in the end. So go ahead and draw your 6-membered ring. Label the carbons 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And with respect to this labeling, you can put your pi bond in between carbons 2 and 3. So now, what is the stereochemistry of the groups on carbon number 1 and the groups on carbon number 6? To do this, we have to determine if the groups are inside or outside. And this method works if the diene is on top and the dienophile is on the bottom, which is the most common case. But sometimes your professor could try to trick you and say that the diene is on the bottom, so determine the stereochemistry now. But it really depends on the prof. But this works for top is the diene and bottom is the dienophile. So ask, if the group connected to the specific carbon reaches out its hand, could they grab the person in the middle? If so, they're an inside group. So this hydrogen on carbon number 1, you can see that it could touch hands with that person. Therefore, it is an inside group. I'm going to draw my inside groups in green. So this is an inside group, labeling it I. Whereas if the group cannot touch hands with that person, it will be an outside group. I'm going to label them in purple. So this is going to be an outside group, labeling it with O. So what about the 2 groups on carbon number 6 on the dienophile? Well, the hydrogen could reach out a hand and touch that person. Therefore, it is on the inside. And the carbonyl group cannot. It is pointed towards the outside. So draw it in purple and write O. So now, with respect to the top half of this person, these groups are going to go dash, wedge, dash, wedge. And once again, this is if the diene is on top and the dienophile is on the bottom. So the outside group on carbon number 1 is going to go to a dash. Then the inside is going to go to a wedge, alternating. So wedge, then dash, dash, then wedge. So I went dash, wedge, dash, wedge. So they alternate. And this could be something that you just memorize if you cannot see this reaction in 3D, that the outside group on carbon number 1 on the diene will always end up on the dash. And then from there, you can just go dash, wedge, dash, wedge. Maybe I will highlight the dashes in blue and the wedges in pink. So now, all you have to do is draw in those groups and put them on either a dash or a wedge based on what you told yourself on the reagent side. So on carbon number 1, I have to draw my OMe on a dash. OMe, OMe. And my hydrogen has to go on a wedge. H, just like that. So now what about the groups on carbon number 6 on the diene file? So go to carbon number 6, the hydrogen goes on a dash. H goes on a dash. And now the carbonyl group is going to go on a wedge. And there you have it. That's your final product with respect to the exo approach. I will do the same thing for the endo, and I hope you catch on to the trend here. So now let's try to do the exact same thing starting at step 1 for the endo approach. So drawing in that person and labeling your carbons anti-clockwise on the diene 1 to 4 and the carbons on the dienophile 5 and 6. So we did an anti-clockwise labeling. Draw your 6-membered ring with the pi bond and label those carbons again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So with respect to the person, are the groups on the inside or the outside? The OMe group here we can see is on the outside. Therefore, it's going to be on a dash. Whereas the hydrogen is on the inside, therefore it's on a wedge. Now the carbonyl group here is on the inside, and it has to be on a dash because we're always alternating. We go dash, wedge, dash. And then finally, the hydrogen on carbon number 6, that is on the outside, will be on a wedge. So we have outside, inside, inside, outside. And we have dash, wedge, dash, wedge. Oh, well, that's exactly what we had up here. Yes, the trend stays the same. All you have to do is switch where your substituents are. So on carbon number 6, the carbonyl was on the outside in the exo case, whereas now the carbonyl is on the inside in the endo case. So to draw in your final product, I'll listen to what you told yourself on the left-hand side. So the OMe group is on a dash. The hydrogen is on a wedge. Here on carbon number 6, a part of the initial dienophile, the carbonyl group is on a dash, and the hydrogen is on a wedge. So here, I hope you can see the difference from the exo approach. Our two final groups, the OMe group and the carbonyl group, are now both on dashes. So we have the endo product. These are both on dashes. So they're on the same side. Whereas in the exo product, one was on a dash and the other was on a wedge. Voila! That is it. That is all. I hope this video was helpful. Once again, this was just actually a short crash course type video, like if you have a test tomorrow, what do you need to know? But I hope this video helped you clear up some concerns with respect to drawing the endo and exo products, as well as what even is a Diels-Alder reaction. Please make sure to leave a like, comment, save, and or subscribe to my channel if you like my content, and have a great day, or night, or morning, whenever you're watching this. Bye!